the country, just picking up the local chisme. It's the presidential year, and it's all this drama. Sí, hay mucho chisme at the top of the presidential level. But we went on the road to get all the local achievement of what's happening in our barrios, in our communities, in our cities across the country. We kicked off in Los Angeles. We are now in Chicago, and it is so special to be here in Chicago because Chicago is the city where Gigante was born. Some of you were there when we lanzamos. Next year is 10 years. But the Chisme Tour, has been to find out what's happening locally because there's all this drama, all this pedo at the top of the ticket, and we have to engage in that. But the place we find purpose is where we live, is with each other. And so, yeah, a panel starting off, but to give you a very special Chicago welcome, I want to bring up to the stage a compa who has been in the fight, in the movement, and a part of me from its inception, Councilmember Carlos.
Ahora, I want to introduce you to our host tonight. I want to introduce you to una organizadora, la concejala del Distrito 26, the alderwoman of the 26th Ward, a fighter, an organizer, always on the front lines of all of our movements. Give it up, y'all, for Jessie Fuentes!
Well, we know when Compa's done being an alderman, he has a career in radio or TV. The next Don Francisco, Chicago. My name is Jessie Fuentes. I'm the Alderperson of the 26th Ward, proud Boricua from Humboldt Park. How y'all feeling tonight? I don't know, we're not room for the Latinos. You can do better than that, me and gente. How we feeling tonight? Well, we're going to get right into it because we have a fabulous panel, some busy people with things to do and places to see and work to get done. But they got some chisme, or like a Boricua would like to say, some bochinche for you. Let's begin with introducing our panelists today. It's my extreme pleasure to introduce to you Maria Hinojosa is an award-winning journalist and the founder of Futuro Media Group, a trailblazer in investigative journalism. She focuses on issues affecting the Latino community in the U.S. Hinojosa has earned multiple accolades, including the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award for her groundbreaking documentary, Lost in Detention. One more round of applause for Maria. And now to introduce to you my Congresswoman, a fighter, a fearless leader. She represents the Illinois 3rd Congressional District and is the first Latina to be elected in Congress from Illinois and the Midwest. She has been a leading voice in pushing for federal government on critical issues like immigrant rights, affordable housing, health care, and advocating for the Gaza ceasefire. Please give it up for my Congresswoman, Delia Ramírez. And last but not least, the fearless leader, Noyola, is the executive director of Border Butterflies, an organization dedicated to supporting trans and queer migrants, particularly at the U.S.-Mexican border. Based in Arizona, Noyola is a nationally recognized advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and immigrant justice. Let's give a warm welcome to Isa, y'all. We have no time to waste, so we're going to get right into it. It's obviously a big week in the city of Chicago. We are hosting the Democratic National Convention. And we might be doing it okay. We got 2 more days, 48 hours. Let's see how we do. There have been some significant shifts in the past 2 months. You all are going to speak to it. I want to know what excites you in this moment with some of the shifts, but also what gives you pause. What are we a little still worried about? Let's start with you, Lisa. You feel ready. You seem ready.
Hi, everyone. I'm a little nervous, so I want to just hear a shout out from my queer and trans folks in the house. I was invited because they wanted a bitch to call a thing and to be the Democrats' house standing. So, so I'm excited. I think for me, I am excited for the vibes. I'm excited the way that pop culture, the girlies, the brats, the demures, all those folks are taking on and using our culture to promote and to get out the vote. Like that's kind of been great to see the infusion, folks really playing with culture, playing with all the ways that like gay and queer people like talk to each other, the lingo that we adopt, nightclub culture, like music, and so that's been really exciting to see that like reinvigoration. That only gets us so far though. Vibes only gets us so far, and it does not speak to the issues at hand, which I will get to a little bit later. But like vibes are exciting, but they only get us so far. They don't get us across the finish line. So I'll get started there.
And now I just want to add to what you said. I don't know if I'm going to start with the exciting part, but when you said that, I was like, well, vibes don't pay the rent. Vibes don't buy a house, right? And vibes don't take care of that prescription or that copay from the doctor. Folks, first of all, welcome to Chicago. Bienvenidos. I think we have someone here as far as from India, is that right? Did I hear somewhere? All right, okay, look at that. Welcome. And secondly, let me say this to you as part of the Chisme. I am a congresista representing Illinois 3rd Congressional District, in part because I had a badass campaign manager who worked her ass off to make sure that we broke our ceiling. And that's Mayra Zuniga, who is part of the campaign. So a shout out to Mayra and my campaign for endorsing me, for standing with me, for fighting like could run for. And listen, every vote counts. I know that every vote counts. But we won by 42-point margin in a 4-way race. Yes. Y'all did that. So I believe that for us, as Latinos here, as progressive Latinos, as Latinos who see that our liberation is intertwined with the liberation of others, we want to see freedom for Mexicanos, for Boricuas, for Guatemaltecos, for those in Haiti, for those in Gaza, and all over the world. That is what we're about. And that is actually what brings me hope. Because we are doing the work that oftentimes seldomly is recognized in your mainstream media. Seldomly is recognized when you talk to elected officials and when you are in spaces with mainstream reporters who just want to talk about, well, tell me about the Nevada poll. And look, don't get me wrong, we are watching polls, but we also know that you are in the conversations with people who want to see more real people run for office, more real people in leadership positions in and out of office, and that's really what gives me hope. What gives me pause, if I'm being honest, is that we have different faces with the same policies. We can't have that. We gotta be leaning in on what makes us powerful and strong. There's a daughter of immigrants running to be the President of the United States of America. We should be celebrating that and leaning in on that, not stepping back and focusing on borders. So I really wanna make sure that when we're talking about the platforms, it'll be platforms that liberate people, not oppress them. Platforms that unite people and not divide them. And y'all beautiful, colorful people here is what gives me the vibe to know that we can make it happen.
That's right. I love that. Maria, close us out.
So, first of all, it's great to be back in my hometown. You know I'm a proud Mexican immigrant, but I did grow up on the south side of Chicago.
Some Northwest side, I'm a part of it.
So, what makes me happy is the fact that I honestly I live on hope, and even before having Kamala as a candidate, I was still hopeful, and I hold on to hope. But the fact that we have a different candidate, to me, is a manifestation that democracy still works in our country, because that didn't happen just because Joe Biden got COVID. Right? It happened because there was a lot of pressure, and that to me is the democratic process. Because when I was growing up on the south side of Chicago, and my mom was taking me to protests, I had a green card, so I couldn't vote. We couldn't vote, but we were still part of the process. So all of us, whether or not we can vote or not, are part of the democratic process in this country. I think what gives me pause. I think the thing that gives me a lot of pause is as I travel across the country, is meeting Latinos, Latinas, Latinx, Latine who are supporting Donald Trump. I was just on 18th Street this morning and interviewed a 26-year-old Guatemalteco born here, and he was like, I'm going for Trump. And I was just like, tell me more.
I really hope he's not related to me.
You know, I did say, because he was like, oh, Trump just says mass deportation as a way to get attention. And I was like, so just so we're clear, si conoces a alguien en tu familia, se van, se van. And I think the other thing that gives me pause is that, because I'm older than all y'all, like, we cannot get, the vibes are amazing. They're just, I'm so happy, but we're happy, like we're joyful. But we went through that discussion with someone from Chicago before, Barack Obama, who we love, right? But also, I can't forgive, right? Certain things. So what's different now is that you all are so much more sophisticated politically that you know that when Kamala wins, it doesn't stop at the winning. That is just the process of all of us, because as a journalist, that's my job. People get really pissed off at me when I criticize the Democrats. And I'm just like, but that's what I do. So the process is about intensifying our democracy, because she's just one person. She's not gonna, we have to manage our expectations and keep the pressure on to save our democracy.
Fantastic, fantastic. I want to just give a shout out to my state rep, Lady Jimenez, who I see is in the room. She's been doing fantastic work, filming at the DNC and supporting ceasefire while at the convention. So wave to the world. It's coming, small packet. All right. To go to do. What do you think we need, and what does it look like for you? How is this particular party going to inspire? Maria, let's start with you.
So I was on Democracy Now! This morning, and I actually they put it on at 6:30 in the morning. Con la querida. What I said was an immediate. I know people are like, "Estás loca," and I'm like, "Bueno." Executive order that I don't like to make predictions, but I was like, and if he does that, Kamala will win, right? Because that young man who is thinking about Trump, and it's like, oh wait, but I'm going to be able to legalize my whole. And so what happened at Columbia has changed the history of the world with that student movement. I'm so proud of the Columbia students. So she needs to speak on that immediately. And I think the other thing that I said on Democracy Now!, it's a little performative, but I was like, they need the campaign. So the door knocking, the outreach, yes, all of that. But again, performative. I was like, they have to make some ridiculously phenomenal jingles in like reggaeton, in cumbia, in salsa, in hip hop, in lo que sea. They gotta have like some amazing beats that make us all just, and then it has to be in the beats, they have to be saying, and we fixed the economy, and we lowered the inflation rate, and in other words, say all the things that they did, but say it to like all different kinds of rhythms. So it will show that they understand that we are the second largest voting bloc in the United voting cohort, but that we're also very different and we like our music different.
I love that. I love that. Isa, let's go with you.
I mean, I think it's not necessarily, I mean, I think they just have to have a different posture. They have to have, I think we have to just bring back the fear of God in them, because against activists and against nonprofits, I mean, I just, well, protests and deal with the right. We don't want to hear their like laments.
or complete apathy. Like, okay, I'm not gonna vote. Funny why? This one is doing this one is doing the other. They're all the same. Why vote? You see that all the time. You see the kind of corruption that we've seen in our own country. So much money in politics. And so what I keep saying is, how about you start giving people something to vote for and not just something to vote against? And I think you're absolutely right what you were just saying. It's like, there's a reason why immigration is like number 5 or 6 in polls when you ask Latinos about how important it is for them. You know why? Because for 30 something damn years we haven't done anything about it. So they're tired of making it a priority when we don't make it a priority, right? They're saying, we're going to probably be undocumented for another 10 years, maybe, because you don't have the political courage. But let me tell you about wanting to buy a house. Let me tell you about wanting to make sure my kids can go to college if that's what they want to do. Let me talk to you about how expensive it is to go to the car dealer and try to buy a car. So I think it's really important. One, immigration. We shouldn't be here in this conversation on immigration. Democrats and Republicans have bullshit us on immigration for a long time. And so we have to be able to demonstrate that when Democrats, who we say care about immigrants, are in power, are actually delivering. And I say the same thing. I said to the president, look, you want us to be surrogates. They don't even trust us. The best surrogate is the person that can say, mi esposo no tiene papeles porque finalmente ellos lo hicieron, right? Y lo voy a decir a mi tía y a mi prima y al otro. So I think that's really important. And I think President Biden can do a lot between now and January. Because he's not running anymore, so he's not. What's he going to lose? Maybe build more legacy. But I think the other piece of that is, folks, we also care deeply about the economy. Like this idea that that's not an issue for us. We care about the fact that we are still struggling building our small businesses. We care deeply about the fact that buying a house is how we create wealth and what we leave to our kids. The reason that I own my 2-flat right now, that I'm paying a mortgage and I don't want to refinance because I don't want that interest rate, is because my parents bought it, right? And I know como with minimum wage, they bought it and then they were paying for it, and then they passed it on to me to carry on the mortgage. That my mom and dad, it is the biggest pride of their life that they were able to do that for me. So we got to make sure that when they're talking about an agenda for all people and for Americans, that they remember Latinos are Americans too, and housing, healthcare, education, climate, peace, liberation. All those things are incredibly important, and certainly, obviously, immigration could not be a BS conversation anymore. Good up your time,
I just also want to add, if the Democratic Party wants to be able to make some tangible moves and win over the Latino community, they must end the colonial experience of Puerto Rico. And the only way to do that is to engage in the self-determination process. Right now, the Democratic Party continues to entertain statehood. Look, we know, I'm an independentista, I say that again. We know that the statehood party is rolling in millions of dollars. And that the only viable option that the people of Puerto Rico have ever seen for themselves is the thing that they see on TV or on billboards all day long. With no real articulation of what that transition would look like. And so we must engage in the self-determination process in which there is a convention with delegates that will take Puerto Ricans through all the options that they have. Statehood is one of them. Just one. Independence is another. And free association is the third. It is the most democratic thing to do to allow the people of Puerto Rico to be informed voters. And so if the Democratic Party wants to deliver for the Latino community, they can start with the 100 by 35 colonial property that they currently have in the court. I know that the Congresswoman has to get to another event. I want to thank you for being the
Oh, wait, there's another event going on?
You know, plenty.
What is it?
Plenty. One of them being the convention. I want to thank the Congresswoman for being our fearless fighter. We know it's not an easy thing to go to DC, to be lonely, to be in a house that's ran by Republicans, that have some of the most insane ideology and practices. And so thank you for sacrificing so much to continue to represent the 3rd Congressional District with the Latino community in the city of Chicago. And we're going to make the same across the city while you keep fighting for us.
One more round of applause for Congresswoman Delia Ramírez. Gigante, keep building around the country because I need backup. I need more Latino, Latina, Latinx, trans. We need trans Latinos in Congress. Work on it. I need backup. Thank you, everyone.
All right, you know it wouldn't be Chicago Gigante if we didn't have some giveaways, some games. I mean, there's a special guest. Let's just give a warm round of applause, see what we get, y'all.
Hola, ¿me escuchan? Hola, mi gente. No sé si se acuerdan de mí. ¿Ya? ¿Se acuerdan de la 4? Soy yo la 4. Can I get a picture of everybody? Is that okay? La chilindrina? No, está okay. Okay. So, like our Alderperson Jessie Fuentes said, this would not be Chicago Gigante if we did not have some games and surprises. But before we get started, let's talk about why we're here. We're here, or at least I'm here, because I believe that we deserve a Buenvivir, right? So what is mi gente? We're pro-black, right? Mi gente, pro-black. Mi gente, pro-mujer. Mi gente, pro-trans. Mi gente, pro-queer. Mi gente, pro-pueblo. Pro-Pachamama. Right? And now, but what do we gotta say to someone like Trump? You say fuera, right? What about machismo? What about capitalismo? What about genocidio? And we don't got time for that. So thank you very much for that. What we're gonna do now is get started with a little game. So we're gonna ask everybody who's seated on the chair to take a look under your seat because you might find a little surprise. Don't show people. It's a surprise. Keep it to yourself. All right. Y'all got your cards? ¿Tienes sus tarjetas? Okay. Now we're going to ask our Maria Hinojosa to lead us off with our first card. Y'all ready? All right, let's do this.
So basically estoy cantando la lotería, ¿no? Cantando La Palestina Libre.
Who's got it? All right, so if you have La Palestina Libre, you can make your way back to the merch table because there's a surprise for you back there.
Wait, I have to read what it says here.
Yeah, so let's read what we have to say about Palestina Libre.
So on the card, should I sing it? Lo canto, no. With more than 15,000 people of Palestinian descent, Cook County is the largest Palestinian community in the country and home to Little Palestine and Bridgeview. Looking to the south, Latin America is home to the largest Palestinian diaspora with over 700,000 people. Que viva Palestina!
Now, don't be sad if you didn't win because we have another card, okay? But here's what we're gonna do. Let's wait till the end for you to get your surprise at the merch table, okay? So let's wait till the end. So let's see, our next card.
Los Great Lakes!
Los Great Lakes! Raise your cards if you got those Great Lakes. All
Lake
right, awesome.
Superior to Lake Michigan to Lake Erie, our familias ended up on the Great Lakes side of the Midwest. Los Lagos are home to 21% of the world's fresh water, and yet working class and communities of color bear the brunt of environmental problems like water and air pollution, lead tainted drinking water, unaffordable water and sewer system rates, and lack of access to beaches and shorelines. Also, always go swimming at the point. If you know, you know. I'll see you there.
All right, was great, Lakes. Guess what? We have another card.
Los migrant workers!
Who got migrant workers? Who got migrant workers? Yes. All right.
Migration stories across the Midwest can be traced to the histories of colonialism and systems of labor exploitation. Some of us come from ancestors in the Bracero program or Operation Bootstrap, from railroads that led to work in Midwestern fields and cities and more. The work and legacy continues today.
All right. And we got another one. Yeah.
Okay. And house music!
Anybody get the house music card? No?
Yes.
All right, we got it. We can go.
Chicago is the birthplace of house music, and this year we're celebrating 40 years of house music. This music was conceived and perfected. Oh, I was trying to rush it. I was told to read slower. You know I can do that. This music was conceived and perfected in bedrooms and basements of Black and Latino youth, getting it on Chicago's south and west sides. It's time for the percolator!
Well, congratulations to all of those who got the cards. You can redeem your prizes at the merch table, and now back where you entered from. And now we take it back to you, Jessie.
Thank you. Give it up one more time for Ramírez. Guys. You all don't get your merch just yet. Sit tight. We're still having a really good discussion. And I want to invite a panelist to join us to really round us out. Before we get into some real entertaining music, and then you all probably dance out music, please help me welcome straight from the Peach State, we have Adelina Nichols. Adelina is the Executive Director of the Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights, also known as GLAHR Action Network. GLAHR is one of Mi Gente's hub organizations, and together they knocked on every Latino household in the state of Georgia during 2020 and 2022. The amazing work of Adelina is not only felt in the state of Georgia, but serves as a model for Latino states and cities across the U.S. Please help me give a warm welcome to Adelina Nichols. All right, we're going to get right back into it because the discussion is important, and we are feeling just how important this moment is with the Democratic National Convention here. So we want to spend some time talking about what's on the line. Ade, can you share your thoughts on what's at stake in this election cycle for our communities in Georgia in particular?
Absolutely. I think that many of us coming from the southeast of the United States, or in particular in Georgia, we have too many issues if Trump wins. We already know how it's like the life of immigrants in the Trump administration. We know about detentions, we know about deportations, we know about racial profiling, we know about separation of families as well. I think that it is important to understand that sometimes what happened in southeast of the United States, and in particular in Georgia, is not the same that is happening in other places in the United States, for example, Chicago or New York or California. There is an aggressive enforcement that is taking place every single day by all those right-wingers, local law enforcement. But as well, we are really concerned about this election in particular. We need the support as well. You know, we need the help of many of other community members and Latinos and Latinx from all over the place to unite our voice via voting against Trump and defeat Trump.
How many of y'all are excited about defeating Trump? How many of us are going to leave Trump wherever he's at? Or maybe behind bars. We'll see. You're just joining us, so I want to give you another question. You know, Harris became the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. And Georgia, once again, has been spotlighted as the state to beat, as the swing state. Can Democrats win Georgia? And what would it take to win the Latino vote?
We lose it your phone.
We all better be going to Georgia to door knock, y'all.
Y'all, actually, all y'all saw because y'all didn't sign up for phone banking for Georgia.
Absolutely. I think that, in particular, and I think it's important to understand that, in particular in Georgia, we call ourselves Latino immigrants. We are just reaching one generation. And it was exactly in 2018, along with Clara Gigante, that decided to have this intervention, getting people out to vote. I think that this new Latino voting power is need to be energized. We need to continue going into the grassroots mobilizing. I think it's the only way really to change the mindset of our community members as well, not that all of us that are here. For example, in 2020, along with Gigante, we were able to canvass more than 140,000 doors into the most populated, Latino populated counties in the state. We were able to position that for the first time in the history of the country, two black sheriffs or African American sheriffs in the history. And they canceled the 287B program that was devastating in our communities as well. I think it's important to understand, put in context, because at the same time, we knew and we discovered this power of voting. And the most important part here is that we're still growing as a voting population. We don't have enough numbers in Georgia if we want to win by itself, but I think that if we put together black and brown forces, is the only way we can mobilize and protect communities of color as well. I think that it's still a lot of work for Democrats to do in order to convince Latinos, but I think it's important tonight that we take this. It's not about them, it's about us. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day who wins, but the most important for me and for everybody, and for Latinos, Latinx, immigrants, newcomers, all comers in the United States, is to get united and understand that we need to unify the Latino vote in order to win and to create, but not only concerned about the political positions that we can gain. No, we know that Democratic Party sometimes, many times, are too traditional into their politics, and we need to change that. If we believe that we need to vote, both thinking about our community, how we can help, how we can use this privilege, my privilege to vote, helping others that are not able to do so. Many of us are coming from mixed families, mixed status families. Many of us don't remember where we're coming from, and that's I think it's very important time for all of us to remember who we are, and what do we want. Because if not, others will come to let us know what we have to do. And I think it's time for us to stand up and speak up.
Give it up one more time for Ada and Bella, for all the work that they do in Georgia and how they're going to deliver for us. Because we know when we organize, we're going to knock every door, phone bank, and we're going to make sure that our people come out to vote. Staying on the states. Eastside, tell us about the current conditions of asylum seekers and trans migrants at the border and how this election could impact these communities.
I know y'all want to get your drink on, I know y'all want to get your dance on, y'all want to get flirty with each other, but just bear with me for like a couple more minutes and we'll get through this. I do think that there is a lot on the line for our folks along the border and also in the interior who, quite frankly, you know, the Democratic Party might not have Project 2025, but they definitely have anti-immigrant agenda for 2025. And Kamala Harris has pledged to make sure that happens, to carry that agenda that the Democratic Party has already spelled out. So it's not hidden. So no nos hagamos los pendejos, pendejas. And when it happens, be like, what the fuck happened? You know, like I think we need to know what time it is right now, right? Like they spelled out like the cinema, whatever bullshit legislative legislation that they were trying to move forward earlier this year, right? Like it spelled out what they're wanting to do: increase funding for ICE, increase funding for DHS, increase enforcement, increase technology, increase surveillance, build more detention centers, and you know, Kamala Harris has pledged to put the final nails in the coffin for asylum. And I think for us, like our work at the border continues to remain one of the like hard-fought struggles that unfortunately the infrastructure along not just the Tijuana border but like along all the border is primarily neglected, right? Like a lot of do-gooder white people projects, lawyer projects, you know, came out with a lot of zeal during the Muslim ban and during the Trump years, right, to start projects, but like they've now kind of they've retreated, right, because they're exhausted and tired, because it is hard work. It's not easy. And so I think for us, like, we continue to pledge and to double down, actually. And the way that we see this administration continue to roll through, and also through, like, international meddling, like, with Mexico and Central America, they're, like, constructing and building processing centers continue to slow down migrants in their path towards the border. So, you know, just a week and a half ago, folks who are using technology to get an ICE appointment along the border, ICE has geo-fenced the region of northern Mexico and the border, so that as long as when you get there, you can book your appointment. They've now, increase the reach of that geofence to include the southern border of Mexico. So that just happened, right? Like, so folks are now required to get their appointment in Tapachula, are now required to get their appointment in Tenosique, right? Like, where there's also less infrastructure as well to support refugees and folks seeking safety from violence, right? So I think for us, the way that they're moving is quite fast. It's you know, it really is taking so much from our communities to show up, right? We have our case managers that are trying to find housing, that are trying to address health disparities, that are trying to address all the safety concerns, right, from the Mexican government, because the Mexican government is taking away HIV medication from HIV positive folks just to fuck with them. Like we're like battling against so many different kinds of obstacles and folks that are trying to fuck with our people just to seek safety, just to get some medication, right? And so I think for us, like, it is really important for folks to understand what is at stake actually. And it's great that we can come out to the DNC, and it's great that we can party. It's great we can do all those things and champion to get out the vote because it is important. But also understand what time it is. Understand what really, like, who is really on your side, and understand how nonprofits have been stretching themselves for so many years, right?
Give it up for Isa for bringing the truth. Maria, I want you to move us forward on what's next. From the reporting you have done across the country this election cycle, what has caught your attention in terms of exciting issues or powerful organizing that is having an impact on Latino voters?
So how many of you listen to Latino USA? So we need all of you listen to Latino USA. So do me that favor and just on your podcast app, please download Latino USA. It's not just for self-promotion, actually. The reason why is because we actually have done a lot of intense political reporting, and we just dropped a documentary 2 days ago about organizing in eastern New Mexico. And you're like, yeah, what? So New Mexico is blue. We're talking about the border between New Mexico and Texas. Texas has banned abortions, right? The 6-week rule. So people are going into New Mexico to get abortion services. And what they're doing is they're using the Comstock laws from the 1800s to try to make sure that no clinic that provides abortions can open in eastern New Mexico. I know it's a little complicated, but the point of the story is that in these little pueblitos in eastern New Mexico, 8 miles from the border with Texas, there are Latinas who are standing up. They are organizing in their towns. They are running for office. They are holding commission meetings. O sea, I saw this with my own eyes. So that's the thing where it's not just here and with the gente that I'm seeing this. This is places where maybe you're not able to access what you all are doing. But these Latinos and Latinas are organizing because of the question of Roe v. Wade, the fall of Roe v. Wade. Having said that, I did meet 2 Latinos, 1 man and a woman. Actually, the woman looked like Luisa, like, really cool looking Latina, chula. Strictly anti-abortion, working against abortion, and a man working against abortion. So it's activating Latinos on both sides of the issue. I would say that, just on the question of the wall, if you don't mind, what's happening, what I said again this morning is that there is no chaos at the wall. There is suffering, there's human suffering at the wall, but I don't want to use this word chaos to apply to us, because actually, when I was on the US side of the wall just in March, in south of Tucson, y'all, I felt so safe, again, on the US side, no Mexico, on the US side, that I came back to my team at Latino USA and Futuro Media, and I was like, I just want to prove a point. It's so safe there that I'm going to sleep out there. And they were like, what? And I'm like, we need to change the image and the narrative about what is happening in La Frontera. Also, where I was at, it's 21 miles of wall with 19 openings. So they're fucking with our heads, okay? What do you mean 21 miles of wall? Oh, pero every mile and a half hay una apertura, and I'm not talking about a small, I'm talking about a big apertura. It's in the most dangerous part, right? But the message is very confusing to us. The point of the story is that we are not creating chaos, we are not bringing chaos. That whole narrative must be changed. And Kamala should go on prime time and give a prime time address on the issue of immigration. And she should stand there with a whiteboard and show all of the data that shows what we know, which is that we are not bringing in crime, we are not destroying the economy, we are not taking anyone's jobs, all of those things that we have the data from the FBI, okay. But for her to just make it clear, and for all of us, esa narrativa tiene que irse al coño, man. It just means that we can no longer be maintaining that narrative. So, but again, because I'm lucky and I get to travel all around, and we're everywhere. All right, question. What is the state that has, and if you know it because you listen to Latino USA, don't answer. What is the state that has the fastest growing Latino-Latina population in the country? Just yell it out. What is the state that has the fastest growing? Georgia? No. Iowa? No. Utah? No. Okay, I heard those 3. North Dakota. North Dakota. Now, in the back. Yo, you guys are getting so noisy. Mira, el problema es que And this is the crux of the word, right? Because when we go to North Dakota, because it's such a red state, we will end up voting red. Where we feel like para ser aceptados, para ser americanos, para ser así, we vote the way we see our people around us, which is what's happening in a place like North Dakota, which is why the work that's being done in Georgia makes me so hopeful, because I believe it could be done. I actually believe that Georgia can happen. I'm going to hold on to that hope.
That's fantastic. And I love that point, right? Because we have this moral obligation to rewrite the narrative. It's extremely important. Even the language that we utilize, and to some degree we have been socialized and have internalized some of the falsehood of who we are, right? And our migration stories. And it's extremely important that we retell our story and demand those that represent us to tell it as well. So thank you. One more round of applause for Maria. Well, we're gonna get right to you, Ada. We have one question. We're gonna round out this panel because there's a lot of things that are coming this evening that are extremely exciting. We want to get to those. For everyone on the panel, and by the way, thank you all for being here. And for being jodonas and chingonas leading the movement and getting things done. For those of us who understand that a Trump presidency would be harmful for our community, but also have criticism of the Democratic Party, we've heard it. We understand the pause, we understand the criticism.
You only gave me like 5 minutes. So.
Tell me, what is one thing we should be doing between now and November? And Issa, we'll start with you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to vote, and I'm going to make my efforts to get out the vote and, support the LAR and support mi gente. Because I want the opportunity to, I'm voting because fuck you. Because I want to tell the Democratic Party to go fuck themselves around all these policy issues. I think that, to me, that is powerful because it's owning my agency, owning my resistance. That's why this country is great. It's why we're all here trying to figure it out. We don't have all the solutions. People always ask me, so what's the solution? What's the solution? Girl, I'm trying to do it every single day. I'm trying to find a solution every single day. Right now, I have all these trans women looking for housing that have just got into detention. So if anyone has some rent money for a month, hit me up after the party. We're doing this day by day. Like no organization has a silver bullet. So I think between now and then, it's like there's so many opportunities to get engaged. There's so many organizations that are having their events this whole week. So if it's not here, that's great. There's so many other places for you as well. Like Mianta's not for everyone either, right? So I think find your political home, find your homies, find your circle. Do the things that like activate you, that call, like bring joy, like Maria Hinojosa says, right? Like do those things, right? Go to the rally that sparks joy in your life and like will activate that imagination, that creativity. Because that's the way that I found my place. Like this doing immigrant rights detention work is backbreaking and it's heart-wrenching. And it's not easy, but the way that you see people and this government dehumanize people in cages every single day, right? And that we pay, our tax money goes to dehumanizing people. Like, people are appalled about what's happening in Gaza. People have no idea what's happening in their own backyard, in the detention centers that are in their backyard, right? And how people are treated every single day. So I think for us, it's like important to understand what is happening on your local level and, and take breaks when you need to and have some food snacks.
Alex?
Sí. Ahorita nos emborrachamos nada más de contar una historia. Pero I get to know this young Latino in South Georgia, rural Georgia. And when I was asking if he's ready to get out and vote, and in particular if he was going to vote, he told me, I don't know because I don't like Biden, pero tampoco me gusta Trump. I'm going to be voting for the Green Party. I said, what Green Party? It's still green. It's like it hasn't born. But that made me think about the need, for example, to at the same time that we are thinking about us as a community, building our own candidates. building and training and organizing and educating our own Latino, Latinas, potential candidates that we will have. Because it's not one or the other, no? At the same time, I don't like both, but okay, but we have to build something for it. And if we don't do that, we are condemned to follow what others want us to follow. So I personally think that our votes need to be thinking in collective. Our vote need to have this social responsibility. Many of us, our parents are undocumented. They cross the border, no? And they are here busting their butts, no? To provide to
You can
us.
curse. This is a safe space. Okay. Let it out.
No? So I think that there is this misunderstanding, and I do, as an immigrant myself, you know, I am original from Mexico City, and I came to the United States more than 25 years ago. But I think that it is important to us think that we do have a social responsibility in regards our families, our members, our neighbors, our friends. We do have. It doesn't matter if they came 20 years ago or the past week. I think it's important to understand this, and if we vote thinking in the vulnerability of others to protect them. And this is exactly what when I say to you guys, it's not about them, it's about us. And we can rock the boat if we want, but we need to be in the same boat. Así que vote for mi gente.
Maria, go ahead and close this up.
No pressure. So, I actually was just in Mexico reporting about the elections there, and got a chance to interview both candidates. And so I think the United States took their cue from Mexico about trying to get a woman elected. Yeah. Mis respetos para México en ese sentido. So what I would do, um, one, I think we all have to talk to each other literally and say, open your eyes when you start hearing esas tonterías that they were bringing crime, etc., etc. Anytime you hear that, just say somebody, open your eyes and see in your own community what's actually happening, so that we can demystify that we are not. I mean, it really pisses me off that we have to spend all of our time demystifying their bullshit because it's such a time suck. Pero ni modo, ahí estamos. What I'm doing, y no nos vamos, no te vayas, no te vayas. So what am I doing? I am pressing to get the interview with Kamala again. We finally got the interview with her in September, so we're pressing for another one. We're pressing for that. We're doing our deep journalism, so please support Futuro Media by listening to us and talking about what we're doing. And for those of you, any of you fans of In the Thick, so
You got some real fans.
So I'm supposed to be really coy, and I'm supposed to go wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and not say anything but yeah. So we're coming back. So and the reason why I say that is because I mean I think what we're seeing from the people who are here, which is no nos rendimos, nos cansamos, nos ponemos tristes. We feel, terrible. Other days we're like happy and smiling and all this. But it is life. And as the older person in the room, it's like this forever. Sorry. So you don't get to a point where you're like, oh my god, I just turned 45. I got it all figured out. No, it's just more shit that happens. So we have to double down with finding our joy and taking care of ourselves, but also de acuerdo 100%. This is about us. And so that's why I leave. Yo me voy tan feliz from my Chicago. I was so hopeful seeing all of you. And so just keep it, each one of us knows our place. I'm a journalist. Like, I'm just going to double down hard on that. And each of us knows our place, and we know exactly what we need to be doing. And the reason why I say that is because all of you are here, and I'm seeing you, and you all didn't have, just like Martin Luther King. He had a dream, but he didn't have a 5-year strategic plan. Right? Ándale, entonces, so in other words, trust your gut and do the activism that feels right for you, but we all have a responsibility, and I love it. It's for us, not them.
Give all of our panelists one more round of applause. A round of applause for mi gente, their leadership, and all their staff for putting tonight together. All of the folks from Reggie's, our bartenders, our hosts, our sound folks. Don't forget to tip. And if we didn't take anything else away from tonight, know this: we have a moral obligation to change the narrative. We have a social responsibility to represent and to lead our communities. For those of you all who marched on Monday, thank you. For those of you all who will go out again tomorrow to let the Democratic Party know we're going to fight for immigrant rights. We're going to combat anti-blackness. We're going to get a ceasefire for Gaza. Chicago will remain a sanctuary city. Thank you for all that you are doing, because that is how we live.
Chicago needs to open up those beds too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We're going to keep fighting for that. Thank you for the accountability. See, that's how you get that done. And I want to make sure that we continue to have critical conversations and we continue to challenge one another as we seek to create not just a better city, a better country, but an entire better globe. Now, enough for the chisme and the politics. How many of y'all are excited for Jake Noah? All right, for the Dominican Republic, y'all. We're gonna drink, have a bite, have a great time, meet a new friend, donate to mi gente, and you all have a blast. Thank you all for having me.